Well, hello and welcome. We are excited about, what? The UFC just had a great event, and we're going to start looking towards doing some matchmaking of our own, saying who we think could be the potential next opponent for some of these guys that have both won their fights, like Ian Machado Garry, and the guys that kind of lost their fights, like Carlos Prates. Who should they be fighting next? My man Josh Thomson, he's got his picks. I got my picks. We're going to see if some of them match up because I don't know what he picked. I'm going to find out.
Just know that all mine are the right ones.
Oh,
just know that. Just I
will admit all the ones of yours that match up with mine are absolutely correct.
Right. Look, just so you guys are aware, we did not talk about this. In terms of who we thought should match up. This is legit our real picks. We may agree, we may not agree, and when we don't agree, I'll tell John why he's wrong, and then we'll move on from this. Okay?
Can we do sometimes like an either or?
We'll talk about it as we go. Well, yeah, we'll talk about it as we go. Right. Look, I think there's basically just matchups to be made after every fight. I think this is going to be a great segment for us to do. And John and I generally sometimes, like majority of the time, we won't agree on circumstances like this. We agree a lot over the years. We've kind of started to shape our brains, like how two women's menstrual systems, like they kind of line up. How did
I know you were gonna fucking match it with a menstrual cycle?
Yeah, there you go. That's okay. It just matches up. Like it's like that's what's happened. Our brains start to think alike after a while. So in this scenario and situation, I don't think it'll be this way because I don't know. I just feel like I think John has fallen victim to he likes fighter IQ. I fucking hate it as a fan now. I'm not a fighter anymore, so I hate it. So I'm gonna go all in on the fights that I think will be the best fights to make for us fans. I'm a fan now. I'm not a fighter anymore. I'm a fucking fan. So I'm excited for that. John still has the old man mentality of like, hey, gotta win, gotta use fight IQ, be smart about it. No, the safety first, that kind of thing.
Yeah, well,
we're gonna find out.
That's how you actually have a career.
This is true. This is true. This is very true. All right, guys. Hey, stay salty, my friends. Salty as AF. With Drink Element, you guys can use the link down below in the descriptions, and they will send you a bonus package of free product with every purchase. Make sure you guys capitalize on that. Summer is coming. It's getting hot outside. It's actually thunderstorming here in Texas, but it is getting hot. It's still 82 degrees. Thunderstorms, lightning, everything. My pool is full. My pool is like almost overflowing, John, right now because it rained so much in the last probably, I'd say, 2 hours.
I don't want to hear that. That means it's coming my way.
It is coming your way. It'll be there soon. It's really windy too. So, all right, let's go ahead and do this matchup. You've got Ian Garry Machado, Carlos Prates. That was a great matchup and a great fight. But who do you want to see fight Ian Garry next?
If I was going to pick my favorite pick, and the problem is I know he's already got a fight, but the next person I'd actually want to see Ian fight would be Joaquin Buckley. I actually think it would be a great matchup. I think it'd be an exciting fight. I think Buckley brings things that would create problems for Garry. Gary's going to create problems for Buckley. If you had to go off of, and this is why I said an either or, if I had to say, okay, well, Buckley's got to fight. He's going to be fighting Kamaru Usman, so, can't pick him. Then I pick Leon Edwards. Leon Edwards is coming off of a loss, but stylistically, I think it's a fantastic matchup and one that could be very exciting.
This is getting kind of scary. This is proof that our minds think alike.
Oh, no.
Right here. No, I've looked at it the same way you did. Look, I'm not saying Joaquin Buckley. What I'm saying is I want to see him fight the winner of Buckley and Kamaru Usman. I'd like to see that because Kamaru Usman and him, they used to train together at Kill Cliff. There's, and now he's left Kill Cliff and Kamaru's kind of back in there a little bit, still doing his training in Colorado, but he's going back and forth. Mainly on the offseason, spend a lot of time at Kill Cliff. They have a little bit of tit for tat going on. I think I'd like to see that fight. We'll see if Kamaru Usman gets past Buckley or not. But the winner of the Kamaru Usman and Buckley fight, and I followed you right up. I said, look, if that can't happen, Leon Edwards.
Dude, you just picked both of them.
Yes, it makes sense. I had to confirm that I was right. Is that,
is that what it is?
I had to confirm that I was right.
We got it. All right, well, then Carlos Prates, he is on the losing side of that matchup. Who is it that you think should be his next opponent?
For me, this is kind of an easy pick, and I want to keep him somewhat in the top 10, top 15. But I looked for an exciting fight who I think is going to bring it. And the reason why I say this guy is because this guy had a great fight with Shavkat. And I know he got finished at the very end, basically fatigued. I'm going to go with Jeff Neal. I think him and Jeff Neal stand up, banger fight. It's going to be a fun fight. And I thought Jeff Neal proved a lot when he fought Shavkat. It also put a little bit of he kind of exposed Shavkat a little bit in some areas that Shavkat needs to work on. Pratis kind of got exposed a little bit on some areas he needs to work on. Jeff Neal will stand in front of him. He will do him. He will oblige him and just say, hey, let's go ahead and stand. Let's trade. See if you can take my power. I'm going to see if I can take yours. I would love to see that fight. And that keeps Pratis an exciting fighter somewhat in that mix.
Yeah, I actually like that fight. It's both of them have faced the same opponent in Ian Garry. I look at it and say, for Carlos Pratis, I'm choosing MVP. I think it would be an exciting fight. Pratis doesn't like to take the fight to the ground. That's not what he does. He likes to be in the stand-up. Well, MVP likes to be in the stand-up. And we saw him have some difficulties with movement. It's not the same type of movement. It's a different kind. But if you fix those problems, and it's going to be a tough problem to fix when you're talking about MVP because he's so unique in the way he does things. So I think that Carlos Pratis against MVP would be an exciting fight.
Can I give you 2 reasons why I didn't go with MVP? I actually saw MVP at the bottom of the rankings. They're like number 12, 13, 14.
I think he's down to 15 or
something like that. Yeah. The reason why I didn't go with him is now he's at 185. He's said that.
Well, he did that, but he didn't say that he was staying.
I thought he was staying. I thought he had kind of had said like, no, I think I'm going to stay at 85. I thought he had said that. That was one. 2 is hear that. The Ian Garry fight to me. It was fun only because of the 5th round, John. It wasn't a great fight up until then, and you're going to get more of the same. Like you just proved our point that we always make. It doesn't matter how shitty the fight is the whole time, but round 5 could change everything if it's an exciting round, and that's exactly what it was. And so I get a little nervous as, MVP. It'd have to be a main event for me to want to watch. Otherwise, MVP
has to be 5 rounds.
Yeah, MVP would just use the speed, the reach, the range, all of those things like Ian Garry did. And I think you could potentially end up with a boring fight. I love MVP, and I liked watching Carlos Pratis fight, but I want to see him go with someone he's going to stand and trade with him. And we know that Jeff Neal's going to do that.
True. I like that one.
All right. So go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Anthony Smith is retired, so we don't need to do a matchmaking for him on what's next for him. He's going to be making maybe some matchmaking with his wife. He's going to get that quality time he's been looking for. But Zhang was up there, and he had a great win, great performance. Mingyang Zhang, I think is how you say his name.
It is Mingyang.
Who would you like to see him fight and match up against?
I want him to face somebody that is similar in that they throw hard, they like to stand, they're not going to be looking to take him down, they want to counter his kicks and things. And there's a guy out there in Bogdan Guskov who is just tough as nails. He throws big shots. He tries to end the fight all the time. I think you got 2 guys. It will absolutely end up. One of them is going down, and I don't know which one it would be, but I think Zhang against Guskov would be just fireworks.
So, John, I actually had him as a backup for this fight, and I have
a backup for him.
Hey, go ahead, say it.
Johnny Walker.
There you go. We're on the same exact page.
Okay.
I had Walker first because look, you just beat Anthony Smith, who has a name in the sport. Yeah, he's been around for a long time, almost 60 fights. You can't go back and fight someone like Guskov. Like, wait, this guy just beat Anthony Smith in his retirement fight. Like, let's keep the ball rolling. If I'm the UFC, I'm like, okay, what's next for him? Johnny Walker. Like that to me just made more sense. I had Guskov on there as well. Like that would be a great fight for the fans. But I'm thinking also too is putting my promoter hat on and going, okay, how can we carry this a little bit?
What's best for the promotion? Okay.
Yeah, what's best for the promotion, but also too, what's best for the fighter? Fighting the guys that have the bigger names is what's best for him too. It just as a fan, I don't know if you're going to get as of exciting fight as you would with Guskov and him. And like I said, it would be a total slugfest. I have that fan in me that's like, damn, I want to see that fight because that's going to be a good fight. But you're coming off the win over Anthony Smith on his retirement fight. A lot of recognition for that fight. Roll you right into Johnny Walker, who's exciting as well. A very fun fighter to watch.
Super open, goes for crazy things.
Yep.
Sometimes it works for him, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So next matchup would have been David Onama versus Giga Chikadze. David Onama, who are you going with?
I'm going with Josh Emmett.
Okay.
I look at that as young blood versus older blood. Josh Emmett, is coming off of a loss, I know, but David Onama is the guy who he utilizes wrestling to sometimes control his opponent, get himself out of the stand-up. Well, he's going to have a hard time with the wrestling against Josh Emmett. Josh is very good there, especially defensively. And Josh Emmett bangs. He throws hard. David Onama, he's got a lot of potential. He throws hard too. I love watching him fight, and it will tell me exactly where he's at.
Okay, so I do like that fight, but for me, I want to try to, like I said, I'm being a fan right now. I'm being a nerd. I want to see the exciting fights. I think Josh Emmett would be a fun fight. Would it be a main event? Probably not. Josh coming off the loss.
No, I don't think so.
He wouldn't be a main event. So that's another thing that I put into play. I think Josh Emmett, there might be a chance for Josh Emmett to beat him in a 3-round fight versus a 5-round fight. Onama, I'd probably give a little bit of the edge, being younger and reach and all those things could give Josh Emmett some problems, which is good. You can build off of Josh Emmett.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm being selfish though. He just beat number 12, Giga Chikadze. I would probably like to see him because he's back into the spotlight, is him and Yusuf Zalal.
Yeah, but they're teammates.
I know. I see. That's the thing though, John. I didn't.
I looked at that fight and I go, dude, Zalal was in his corner.
John, I don't even care. I want to see it.
But you want to see it, but it ain't going to happen. It's going to be the same as when you were, in Habib's corner. Yeah. You weren't wanting to fight him. You would fight him for a championship, but you're not going to fight him just as
John. Let me be selfish for this moment, please.
You be selfish.
Let me be selfish.
Totally selfish.
Yeah, I went with Yusuf Zalal. I like that fight. Look, and I'm okay if you wanted to work. Look, I looked up if you went all the way up to like Lerone Murphy. I just don't know if Onama is quite ready there for Lerone Murphy. And there's a lot of guys that are going to be working their way out. You know what I mean? Like we've talked about this multiple times. Brian Ortega probably going to 55. You got Ilia Torres who gone as well. Max Holloway's gone as well. He's already got matched up for his 55, debut. Ilia's me matched up. Like I could go backwards, but you just beat Giga, and I'd like to try to keep you somewhat in that going forward stage. But I also would love to see maybe a Calvin Kattar fight. Calvin's and Danny Ige and Zalal. Any of those guys in that top, like that end of top 15 would make for fun fights for David Onama.
Yeah. No, I look at it. The Zalal fight ain't happening.
I know, but it would be a fun fight.
It would be. It'd be a good fight. But all right, Giga Chikadze was on the losing end. Who do you have facing?
Okay, well then I'm going to go here. I'm going to have Calvin Kattar 2 because they fought already once. I'm going to have them fight again. Yeah, Giga going down, Kattar going down, both coming off losses. I think Cater's on a 4-fight lose streak, so having him get one of them's got to get a win. Is Giga belong in there? He's so inactive. The UFC is like, hey, it's time for you to kind of shit or get off the pot. I got to see if you can get that win.
All right. I have a different pick. Okay. My pick is someone that I thought, you know what, Giga's got a good name. He probably is out of the top 15 now with that loss, but I have Giga Chikadze against Aaron Pico. Ooh. It's a great introduction fight. It shows the fans exactly, you know what, how Aaron is with his stand-up, going up against another great stand-up fighter. Does the wrestling come in? I think Giga Chikadze facing against Aaron Pico, perfect entrance fight into the UFC. Yeah,
that's a good fight. That's a good fight. That's not too shabs. I wouldn't mind that fight at all. Very nice. I'll give you credit for that one.
All right.
So now you've got Michelle Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. Who do you got for Abus?
For Abus Magomedov, I got a guy that fought the same night. Ikram Aliskerov. I think it's a perfect matchup. You got to take a look at where Abus is at. Abus has fought against some really good people in the UFC. He's got losses to Kai Bahalo. He's got a loss to Sean Strickland. He's a good fighter. He's just one of those guys that has to learn when to turn it on, when to relax in the fight, because he doesn't relax well later on in the fight. He doesn't understand how to recoup in the way that he needs to. But I think that Aliskerov, both of them coming off of wins, they both looked good. I thought Aliskerov looked fantastic with his knockout of Muniz, but that's a great fight in the fact that they're both in that position of they're right out the edge of being those guys that you can put and leave up in that top 10. Mm-hmm. I know Ikram had the loss to Robert Whittaker. Happens, that kind of stuff that's what it is. But this would be a perfect fight to show exactly where they're both at.
Okay, so I'm going to kind of look, for me, Abus they've given him opportunities. He's been able to have camps. He's lost to all the top guys. Now let's give you someone who's considered a top guy with some name value. I'm going to go with Paulo Costa. It's a shit or get off the pot. UFC's
I looked at that one.
I'm giving you a couple fights with name value, and you blew it. Now you had a good win over Michel Pereira, who has a name.
Yeah.
Who has a name. Now we got to try to build on that some more. I'm going to keep going back to this name value. Like, if you're Abus, I want to fight another name. Ikram is a great fighter, but he hasn't really, he only got the one opportunity against Whittaker to fight a name, lost that fight. I'm going to slow play him a little bit, not too much though. I'm going to put him in that top 10, top 15 area as well when I talk about him. But I look at Abus and I think to myself, Paulo Costa, I could go with the Marvin Vettori also.
Yeah.
I would say a Paulo Costa because Paulo Costa, he's not going to really try to wrestle him. He's going to stand with him a little bit. Both of them aren't really known for their great cardio. And so you will end up having the two of them slinging it probably the first 2 rounds. And round 3, they'll both take it off. Maybe have a glass of wine.
Yep.
So that would be my pick for Abus. And then who would you have for Michel Pereira?
Well, Michel Pereira is out of the top 15.
Yep.
And I don't think he deserves actually right at this point to be taking someone that's of a higher level. So I'm going to take a look and say, well, who do I look at that is within the ranks and roster of the UFC that has shown me that, they have a ton of potential. Okay. And they're really good as a young prospect. They still need some seasoning, but I'm going to give you a guy that, he's explosive, but he makes big mistakes too. So I'm looking at a guy from Extreme Couture in Mansour Abdul Malik.
Okay.
I think, he's got wrestling. His stand-up is good. He had his last fight. He got clipped. He got hurt, but he came back. So he showed a lot of, fortitude in that fight. I think that is a fight that would actually be an exciting fight because I think Malik would go after Pereira, which is exactly the blueprint to beat him. And so what has Michel Pereira done to alleviate that blueprint that everyone wants to use against him now and change things up?
All right, so I'm going to skip over Randy Brown real quick and Nicholas Dalby, only based on the fact that I'm going to bring up who you just talked about in Ikram Aliskerov. I'm going to put him against Michel Pereira because it's like punishment. You're now the gatekeeper. The young talent, the guy that I believe that I want to start pushing forward over you is this guy. I need Ikram to get some sort of name value now. And who can I get? Michel Pereira's got a name. So now let me give you someone. He's coming off a loss. You should be able to beat him. Ikram, this is your opportunity. We gave you Robert Whittaker. What did he take it on? Like 4 days notice?
Yeah.
It was. I don't even know if it was that because he was already on the card. They just bumped him up in the card, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So he really had like same day or 2 days before notice for that fight. That's a lot goes through a fighter's mind. You mentally prepare for 8 weeks or 6 weeks for somebody, for that one person, and then you get somebody else the day of. It does throw you off. Not everyone's cut like Danny Ige. Not everyone, right? And we applaud Danny Ige for that, by the way. But I look at Ikram Aliskerov. Look, we gave you the opportunity with Whittaker. It didn't pan out, but this is now your real chance. Get a full camp in. Let's have you fight Michel Pereira, who has a name, and that's a way for us to get you up into that like conversation of who's the next name that we could put in the top 15 for you to fight. Now that we've seen that you can beat someone like a Michel Pereira.
All right.
Makes sense.
You skipped over Randy Brown. He had a great performance.
Yes,
who would you put against Randy Brown?
I have a couple options. I've got a couple options, and I'm being extremely selfish. Look, I would go Randy Brown and Luke A 2.
That's mine.
Okay, but I'm gonna throw a second one in there. I would probably maybe put him for a little bit more name value against the winner of Morales and Burns. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Burns kind of getting older.
Totally makes sense. I looked at the. First off, Vicente Luque had a very nice performance. He looks like he's, gotten himself back with his last fight. And if you're Randy Brown, that's when you want to get back. Because he was actually doing well in the fight, and then, Luque took over and put him out of it. And you look and you go, as a fighter, that's what I want back. Well, I've earned my chance at getting back at that fight. And I think it would help step him up. I think it sends a message to all the other welterweights out there of, yeah, I lost to this guy once, and look at who just came back and beat him. You know, that's a perfect fight for Randy Brown.
I would agree. Randy, you got that. And then I already went on with Ikram. Who would you want to have Ikram fight?
I already have. Mine was Abus.
Okay. And then Schnell. With Schnell, I'm going to skip over only based on the fact he's coming back. He had a good win. I would give him one more, I want to say tune-up fight, but I would give him somebody that's not in the top 15. I wouldn't put him in that top 15 talk right now. But there is somebody, though, I think is Evan Elder.
Well, you forgot Nicholas Dalby.
Oh, that's right. Forgot Nicholas. I actually didn't match it Nicholas Dalby up. Now that I'm looking at my paper. Sorry, buddy. You want to take this one?
I go with Nicholas Dalby. I want to fight that. Look, he's got finished for the first time. He's a dog. He's the guy that, is just always tough as hell. And so I want to put him with another guy that's got that kind of background, that kind of warrior spirit. So I'm going to go with Elizu Zaleski dos Santos.
Okay.
Who, he's coming off a loss too. Both of them coming off with a loss. I want to get one of them a win. But I think that just style wise, both of them have a little bit of an eclectic style, a little karate, little capoeira. I think it would be a fun fight.
I would agree. That would be a damn good fight, actually. I'm going to skip over Match now because, like I said, I want to give him, he's coming back after the long layoff, supposed retirement, gets the win. Give him another probably back into the entry like type fight. But I'm going to go Evan Elder. To me, Evan Elder, and this is probably I'll do Blackshear as well. But Evan Elder, to me, who would you like to see him fight?
Oh, dude, that's a tough one because he's in that position with Elder right now. I mean, at 155, there's just a damn plethora of talent, but I don't want to put him out there too fast.
Yep.
To where he's getting matched up with the guys that are just killers. So,
John, can I throw one at you?
Yeah,
throw one at you, and you tell me if you like it or not. Okay. I think Saint Denis.
That's actually, that's a tough fight. I think that's like what I'm talking about. Where I don't want to throw him to the wolves. He's good and he's tough, but Saint Denis is shown his mettle too.
Oh yeah,
no, it's a good fight. It's a good fight.
I felt like it wasn't like Joe Alvarez to me is his body style, his striking. That could be a fun fight, but I look at somebody with
Joe
a little
Alvarez
bit
is really tall for him though.
Yes, he is. That's why I didn't match him with Alvarez. But I put him with Saint Denis. They're both going to stand. They're both going to bang. They're going to stand in front of each other. It's going to be a great fight. The thing that scares me a little bit with Elder, he slowed down about maybe a third of the way into the second round. And his output wasn't the same. His technique wasn't as clean and crisp. Whereas Saint Denis, like he can take shots, deliver shots, but he still has a pace on him. He'll still fight forward. We saw in his very first UFC fight, he got annihilated and then came back and rattled off a bunch of wins. So it's not like he's mentally weak or something. This guy will put himself through the ringer to try to get a win. And his fight with Dustin Poirier was to me, is one of the most exciting fights, even though he came up short. But have Dustin hurt, have him push the pace, and then Dustin push back and finish him. Fantastic. I'd like to see if Elder is ready for this level and step up in level of competition. And I wouldn't be upset if he didn't, if they didn't put him into this top 15. He may not quite be ready there, but like I said, when we started this whole show, I'm being selfish today, John. Being selfish. This is the fight I would like to see.
Yeah. What is Jamie Malarkey still fighting at 155?
He's not in the ranking, so
I know he's not in the ranking.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but that would be maybe another fun fight.
Yeah, that one, or the guy who's going to be fighting this week coming up, Mason Jones. That would be a great fight between him and Elder.
Who's Mason Jones fighting?
Mason Jones is fighting Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah. What about a Jeremy Stevens if he wins? There you go. I'll take the Jeremy Stevens too. Because just like John, he kind of gets into that BMF title type talk. I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying he could be somebody that I'd like to see fighting for the BMF title down the line if you get up into that top conversation of BMF. Because, he's already proved he's a bad motherfucker. Jeremy Stevens. Like, if you watched him against Eddie Alvarez, he was trying to get the fight with Mike Perry.
I know.
I'll take that fight. I said, you're crazy.
Most of the time, Jeremy Stevens fought featherweight forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now he's fighting lightweight. And you look and you go, okay, I understand why. You don't want to try to cut yourself down or anything like that.
Well, he fought Eddie at like 170 or 175.
I know, and he looked good.
Yeah, he did.
So, that's what I was saying. Is, look, he's fought at 145 forever. He looked great against Eddie, so 155 won't be a problem. And that's where he started out, man. That was his first fight in the UFC was against Dean Thomas.
Yeah,
at 155.
Outside of that, Damone Blackshear, did you have anything for Damone? I mean, for me, I just had him.
I didn't go down to the pool.
Gotcha. I just throw in these are like the ones that I was just kind of like, whatever. Like him and Kyler Phillips, I think would be a good fight.
A great fight.
Be a great fight. Yeah. And you brought it up the other day with Jackie Amorim. You said Julian Robertson. If she can get past the win this weekend, you think that'd be a great fight?
It would be. I mean, the real question is, it's going to end up hitting the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And do they cancel out, or is there so much action? Exactly.
They don't cancel out.
That's what I think.
Jackie dominates her on the ground, I think.
Well, they're both offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at two people that grappling wise are offensive, there's always openings.
Yeah. Jackie's going to expose the holes in her jiu-jitsu game. But I think I know Julian Robertson doesn't have like great stand up, but it's still better than Jackie's.
Yes.
So if she can stop a takedown, she might have more success on the feet. Whereas to me, I feel like you don't want to go to the ground with Jackie. Like I put Jackie right up there with Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie maybe a little bit more because she's a little bit more polished, she's a little bit bigger. But like when I see like jiu-jitsu wise and I watch them compete, just animals. They're just animals. So, all right, hey guys, that's going to wrap up our show. These are the fights to make after every card. We're going to try to get this thing out on Mondays, get it pushed out on sometime on Monday for you guys, following up on next week. But this is just a little fun little segment we're going to try to put together for you guys for fights to make after the cards. And John, take us away, buddy.
See how many times we're right. And you know what? I got to admit, a lot of your picks were really good because they were the same as my picks. For everyone out there, thanks a lot for watching. See you.